All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at something that is, honestly, truly fascinating. We're going to see how a piece of everyday consumer tech, literally just a smartphone, is completely disrupting a massive, high-stakes geopolitical trade corridor. We are exploring the 9-5 wood Digital Refinery, which essentially acts as a sentient bridge between chaotic construction waste and the strict high-purity requirements of the global biocarbon market. It's an incredible story of taking a geopolitical liability and turning it into absolute carbon gold, and I cannot wait to unpack how this all actually works. Here's the roadmap for today. We're going to cover the cross-border trash trade, geopolitical volatility and tariffs, building the sentient bridge, Edge AI and Android 16, bulletproof UI and PDF outputs, and finally, how we go from trash to carbon gold. Let's get into it. Section 1. The cross-border trash trade, mapping the scale of the Ontario-Michigan corridor. To really wrap our heads around the solution, we've first got to grasp the sheer physical scale of the problem we're dealing with every single weekday. We're talking about municipal solid waste, MSW, shipped straight across the border from Ontario, Canada, to U.S. landfills in Michigan. 3.46 million. That's the number of tons of MSW that Ontario exports to Michigan landfills every single year. I mean, just picture hundreds of tractor trailers idling at the Ambassador or Blue Water bridges every single morning. It's a massive, physical pipeline of material flowing south. And get this, Ontario waste makes up a staggering 14.35% of all the waste disposed of in Michigan landfills. This whole pipeline is driven by some pretty extreme pricing arbitrage. See, Toronto is facing a severe landfill capacity cliff by 2034, which is pushing their tipping fees up to a floor of roughly $190 a ton. Meanwhile, Michigan's fees have historically been as low as 36 cents a ton. So even with proposed hikes to $5 a ton, the economic math heavily favors just shipping it all out. Moving on to Section 2, Geopolitical Volatility and Tariffs, the 2026 Regulatory Chaos. But here's the thing. This long-standing physical arbitrage is suddenly under attack. If you look at the year-to-date headline news, the landscape of cross-border commerce is shifting violently beneath our feet, and this waste corridor is caught right in the middle of it. In February, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the Washington administration's use of emergency tariffs under Donald Trump that immediately resurrected Section 122, triggering a 15% global surcharge that just lapsed in July. And looming right around the corner on August 19th, there's a massive 50% duty under Section 338 scheduled to hit finished Canadian wood. But crucially, and this is key, under the CUSMA and USMCA trade agreements, waste classifications can secure exemptions if and only if they are perfectly documented. So we're looking at an absolute minefield of federal tariffs and provincial carve-outs. And political leaders are reacting directly to all this volatility. Take a look at this quote from Ontario Premier Doug Ford regarding his Bill 5 legislation. It captures the geopolitical anxieties perfectly. This bill actually bypassed standard environmental assessments for local landfill expansion, specifically as a hedge. It really highlights that Ontario is pushing emergency domestic capacity simply to protect against the very real possibility of Washington shutting down the border to Ontario's MSW export. Which brings us to Section 3. Building the Sentient Bridge, the 905-wood Digital Refinery. So how do businesses, like general contractors or haulers, actually navigate this chaos and survive the volatility? Well, enter the 905-wood Digital Refinery, often called the Sentient Bridge. It's basically about taking a structured, short position on the landfill. By using Edge AI, 905-wood intercepts valuable, clean wood biomass before it ever even crosses the border. This captures the financial spread as the domestic cost of landfilling skyrockets toward that 2034 capacity cliff. It's totally reframing the issue, treating municipal waste not as garbage, but as mispriced financial market. Let's compare the old way versus the new way. The old way means tossing unverified mixed waste right into a bin. That faces a massive $60 per ton provincial CIRCL levy, and it becomes a prime target for those chaotic cross-border tariffs we were just talking about. But the new way? It relies on AI-verified clean wood. That drops the levy down to just $5 a ton. And because it's classified with absolute audit-grade precision, it becomes completely tariff-exempt under USMCA Chapter 4, specifically HS Code 3825.0. It's a total game changer. All right, Section 4, Edge AI and Android 16, the sub-500 millisecond compliance officer. This is where macro geopolitics meets frontline technology, and it's happening using a $999 Google Pixel 10 Pro running Android 16. The workflow breaks down into a super simple physical action. A driver at a demolition yard just points their camera at a pile of waste. Using the Light Art AI stack features running locally right there on the device, the Gemma 4 E2B model classifies the material as clean, dimensional wood in under 500 milliseconds. Then, the driver holds a button on the screen for 2 seconds. That triggers the Titan M2 hardware chip to cryptographically seal the record, locking in the exact GPS coordinates, timestamp, and model hash. So in literally half a second, international trade is completely reclassified right at the absolute edge. And for precautionary safety, the system has a brilliant fallback built right in. If the primary AI model is only 70 to 85% confident, which they call the amber band, a dual model consensus kicks in. A larger model, the Gemma 4E4B visual fallacy guard, steps in to reevaluate. This ensures that highly toxic materials, like chromated copper arsenate-treated wood, are instantly filtered out. It's an automatic failsafe to guarantee absolute purity. Now for Section 5, Bulletproof UI and PDF Outputs, Explainable Compliance at Layer 3. Because, let's be real, a classification means absolutely nothing if you can't defend it on paper to a border guard or a customs broker. The Digital Refinery's UI generates exactly what the regulatory market demands. Whether you're generating a request for quote or needing hard proof at the border, the output features unified, cryptographically signed PDF documentation. This includes the USMCA Shield Certificate of Origin, which is essentially your golden ticket to bypass those August Section 338 tariffs. It also auto-generates electronic provincial manifests, a zero-levy report card showing your direct cost savings, and, crucially, a direct registry entry for carbon removal credits. So how is this paperwork so bulletproof? Well, all of this logic is orchestrated at Layer 3 through an advanced pipeline running a massive Gemma 4 26 billion parameter model on local RTX 3060 hardware. This system literally has the entirety of Ontario's complex environmental regulations memorized, and it cites them in real time. This guarantees absolute legal compliance and data residency, completely removing human error from the equation. And finally, Section 6, From Trash to Carbon Gold, Securing the Global Circular Bioeconomy. Let's bring it all home by looking at the incredible return on investment here. By operationalizing the Google Pixel 10 Pro and this Light RT AI stack, 905 Wood secures Ontario's industrial leadership in the global circular bioeconomy. The financial arbitrage is what makes this whole system solvent. Just look at the impact of one massive 144-yard mothership trailer. If you send it as a mixed waste liability, it costs almost $1,150 in levies. But by validating it as a clean wood asset at the edge, that cost drops to under $100. And here is the absolute kicker. Because it's verified pure, it can be converted into a stable biocarbon solid. At standard book value, that generates a carbon dividend of over 2,700 Canadian dollars per single load. But wait, it gets better. When that exact same load is scientifically validated under premium tiers for monitoring, reporting, and verification on the spot market, it can secure up to $7,660 in carbon dividends. You are quite literally turning construction debris into a highly lucrative, registered climate asset. It is absolutely wild. So I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to consider, especially as the landscape of global waste management shifts right beneath our feet. As tariff walls keep rising and domestic landfills physically run out of space by 2034, the old way of doing things is mathematically destined to fail. But by putting a sub-500 millisecond AI compliance officer right in the palm of a driver's hand, the Sentient Bridge proves that our biggest liabilities can actually be refined into our most valuable assets. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I really hope this completely changes how you look at the economics of the world around us. Catch you next time.